And welcome back. Now, once upon a time, learning used to look quite different. We were all sitting in classrooms, and then the world as we all knew it globally changed. And in the past few years, you've probably very much been experiencing online learning. But we're now hearing words about dual delivery. So what exactly is that? So whether you are on campus in Australia or if you are still offshore in your home, don't worry, we're going to be talking to you about the really amazing ways that we're going to be engaging with you. And if those of you who joined us for the course planning session, you will have seen that there is that choice in dual delivery, and it's going to be all about what that looks like. And one of the things that we're going to touch upon really closely is what's on learning like, how does it work, what's it like? And I've got some incredible experts to take you through that. And in fact, many of you may have joined us throughout the year as we've done special showcases on the learning and teaching at the University of Melbourne in this new way of learning. We found some incredible benefits have come from this. And throughout the world, it has shaped and shifted that way of learning forever. We can take some of those good things and keep evolving. So some of the things we've been doing is quite incredible. So forget some of your experiences that you may have had. You'll be quite surprised as the way that we've been able to do things like internships and really practical subjects online. And students have done amazing things. So before I get started again, I do want to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet throughout the world tonight. I join you from the lands of the Wurundjeri people, where our campus at Parkville is also situated on, and I recognise their elders past, present and emerging. And for those who may be joining us for the first time, and for those of you who've been along for the full ride or parts of the ride, this is an important part of Australian culture and something also really important to us at the University of Melbourne, because again, this is our way of acknowledging our nation's first people. And so again, I wanted to demonstrate that that is something that will be a regular part of all of your classes and your engagement at the University of Melbourne and more widely in Australia. So many of you do know the deal. This is again about answering your questions, and if we don't get to them, we'll find other ways to help you. So please post away. Our amazing chatters are there. You've seen the wonderful help that they've been able to provide. So special shout out to our chatters. They're incredible and they want to get your questions. So this is going to be a really interactive session as promised. And as we've shown, we've got some amazing people here to give you a sense of what dual delivery is about and how we can all make the most of it. And you'll know what to expect when you come to the University of Melbourne. So I'm going to introduce them each to the screen one by one. And here is someone who's been right along the journey. He's actually the head of chemical engineering and one of our incredible professors here at the University of Melbourne. And he has a particular interest in doing amazing things online and in person and blended. Please welcome Professor Ray Dagstein. I got thrown by saying Raymond because I know you as Ray. So thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it, Ray.
Thanks, Zoe. I'm excited to be here.
Excellent. Now, I've got some of the people who've been experiencing dual delivery and online delivery, and they can give you the tips about what it's like and what to expect. So we have our academic, and now we have some incredible students. So first up, I would like to welcome back Rasheen. You know her from the last session if you came, and she's actually now a graduate student. So welcome back, Rasheen. I know you've got some wonderful experiences and tips to share. Thanks for coming back.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Brilliant. Up next, he is a Bachelor of Science student, and it's Massimo. Welcome, Massimo. Hi.
Hi, everyone. Hi, nice to be here.
Awesome to have you here again. And for those of you who have been coming to a lot of our events, you'd be recognizing Rasheen and Massimo about now. And we also have a biomed graduate about to start the Doctor of Medicine. So she's done the hard work. Please welcome Indira. Hi, Indira.
Hello, everyone.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We're going to put some hot questions to you in a moment. And our last but not least member of our panel is another student doing the Bachelor of Design. Please welcome Aditya. Welcome. We got you.
Hello, everyone.
There you go. We don't have you on screen. So while we do that, while you work that out, I'm going to throw some questions first to Ray. I'm going to start with the obvious one that's not so obvious. What exactly is dual delivery of subjects, learning and teaching?
That's a great question. I mean, dual delivery falls into a couple different categories. Sometimes it can be you're giving the same subject twice. Sometimes there's an online version and an in-person version where you're covering the same material. You might do it with slightly different ways between those two modes. Or sometimes you are actually giving one lecture or one tutorial where you have some people online and some people in person, and we might call that blended synchronous learning. But in all of those versions of online learning, where we have online learning, what we've learned in the last couple of years is ways to actually think much more about the student experience and make our lectures more student focused, whether or not people are in person or online or together. Online learning means that it could be through Zoom. We depend an awful lot more on digital tools that we never really looked at before, but actually students would use in their everyday lives. You know, we use chat functions and not exactly Facebook, but Microsoft Teams and a lot of different platforms to help communication and drive that student experience through a lot of different channels. Personally, I never want to lecture in person or online ever again without a chat function. It is the most amazing thing. Students really are able to post what they want, what they're thinking. Other students can actually see. It's quite empowering that they're not the only one that has that question. And where that also ensures if we have both online and in-person students that everybody's voice is heard.
Brilliant, because I know a lot of students, when they're new, it's so normal to feel a bit anxious about worrying about, oh, I want to ask this question, or I'm a bit scared to make this statement. So it sounds like you found that this has really helped students that felt a little shy in the past.
It really has, and it also, if students don't understand something or they haven't missed something, or maybe you said something that's confusing, by watching the chat, you can get that instant feedback. Oh, I didn't do that right, or did I make a mistake, or did I say something funny? And you really get a much more interactive rapport with the students that, to be honest, it's quite, you don't even achieve that necessarily if everybody's in person. And online learning has really empowered us to look at the student experience differently. And because we've had 2 years of it, we felt empowered, and the students have gone along with us to change how we educate, to maybe giving you a little bit of a pre-video to watch to get some of the nuts and bolts out of the way. So the time that we spend together is more focused on examples, discussion, and we'll use tools from surveys to, I've done Kahoots quiz with master's students, just to try to make sure we're understanding each other and connecting in the time we do have together.
Brilliant, Ray. You really sound like you've seen some excellent benefits from this, and that it's part of the evolution of where learning and teaching is going. And I want to know what was a surprising benefit beyond all of those incredible benefits that you said, but was there something that particularly surprised you that came out when everyone was sort of asked to go online globally and everyone's sort of like, oh no, what has been a surprise benefit?
So I think one of the surprises for us being in engineering is we're very hands-on, and we said, how are we going to do all these things? And as engineers, we're ultimately problem solvers. So we took our problem solving skills and tried to look at solving that problem every which way. And you know, we've mailed out in a semester literally 1,000 lab kits so students could work at home. But what students could learn and work with, but sometimes we're like, let's try this idea. And I remember one of our workshops where we had blended synchronous learning. We had students measuring an experiment in person, and we had students online. And the measurement person was the measurement engineer, and the person logging the data was online, and they were the data engineer. And they had to work with each other to be able to get the data and analyze it and do their report. And we thought, this is going to be a disaster. It's going to be chaotic. And when we were running, we're like, oh, I don't know, this might not work. And then as it turns out, the students said, this was great. This was so much better than just watching a video and being able to work with people apart and some people in person and online. We were thought, oh, this is going to be a disaster. And the students we're able to adapt and get so much more out of those experiences than we ever expected.
Oh, brilliant. Well, speaking of the students who've been there, Massimo, same question for you. You're studying the Bachelor of Science. Can you tell me what was a surprising benefit from online learning? What do you think was good about it?
Well, an interesting thing is I always thought I was on top of my lectures and my notes. I would always, like my first year of uni before the pandemic, I was always going to my lectures, always taking down notes. I was like, I don't want to watch anything on lecture capture. I want to be there in person. But because of blended learning, a lot of things were published either ahead of time. They allowed us to do advanced reading. I was able to like restructure and go at a different pace. I used to go to the pace of the university. Now the university is allowing me to learn at my own pace. So I would take down notes either before class, even sometimes after class, because I have other commitments. And I really appreciated being able to work around, I think, my time the university provided me.
Brilliant. So greater flexibility for you. I like that. It was sort of like a way of customizing your studies. Brilliant. I'm going to go over to you, Indira. You've clearly thrived in the online environment because you've completed your biomed and done so well. You've been successful to be starting the Doctor of Medicine. Huge congratulations. What was the surprise benefit for you, Indira? Because you've clearly done well.
Firstly, thank you. For me, actually, along the lines of what Massimo said, but 2020 and online learning forced me to schedule it all myself. And that's when I started, really working out. So I had classes only starting from 11 o'clock or so. So I thought, okay, I have to sit down and really plan how I'm going to work this out. And then started doing online workout videos in the morning and then like really scheduled it so that I work from like 11 a.m. to sometime in the afternoon. So yeah, flexibility is a huge thing. And if you like take it hands-on and organize it all around to what works for you, then it's like really great.
Brilliant. So there you go. You're able to fit in all this other stuff, be super fit. And I think it probably was that healthy mind and body that got you through. So well done. Rasheen, what's your take on the same question? What surprised you about it in a good way?
Honestly, I just want to echo what Prof. Ray was saying before. I think the way, so I studied dentistry, and the way that being a hands-on course, the way that they catered to it online was actually really fascinating. They also introduced a lot of different subjects that we wouldn't have had otherwise, and I thought it was actually really resourceful. So we had instead of this like didactic learning, you had a lot of interactive sessions where you get to do a lot of role play with patients. We also introduced a teledentistry component, which for me was incredible because that is the future of healthcare. And I guess also for me, it allowed me to have a lot more time to focus on my research project as well. So through that, my research group and we actually had a lot more time to put more effort than we would have if we were fully in person. So we could schedule our meetings for after hours. And as a result of that, we were able to get a publication out of it. So it really did open up a lot of opportunities in that sense. Having said that, dentistry being a very hands-on course, we were given a lot of activities at home, especially initially when we weren't in person at all. And it was actually really interesting trying to recreate the dental setting at home, which sounds very hard and is very hard, but was very, very interesting. And it also uses different parts of your brain in terms of challenging you with your manual dexterity. So that was really great for me.
Brilliant. So lots of advantages. I'm going to take a different question to you, Aditya. I would love to know what was maybe one of the challenges you had working online, and what's one of your tips to maybe overcome that?
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, with trying something different and obviously working online can be quite challenging. One of the most things I found most challenging was, connecting with people and making friends, as I started university just when the pandemic hit, so in March 2020. And since I'm an international student as well, I didn't know anyone at the moment. So that really got me demotivated in my first semester, because I didn't have any friends, and like I'm quite a social person. So what I did in the second semester is like I joined lots of clubs at the university. And they were all happening online, and the university really helped, promote online socializations. So I did this 3-week program for like stand-up comedy. I joined like Union House Theater, and we did some like, script work and stuff. And also like another thing that really helped is like each subject basically has like giant chats on Facebook, where like students are really helpful, because honestly no one knows each other and no one was able to see each other in person. So everyone made like these giant group chats on Facebook. So if anyone had any questions regarding course material or any subject, they could just post them on there, and then students were usually quite helpful to help each other out and basically give each other company throughout like some difficult times.
Brilliant. I think that's a really good one that you just addressed there, because I know that there are many students who haven't yet booked their flights, or they didn't have the time to get ready to be here for semester 1, and they're worrying about how can I form those connections and build my community at Melbourne. And I think that what you just showed us was just the huge scope of life at Melbourne that we've made possible online. So we've always been really proud that we are a truly global university, but at the moment you still have that choice. It's not just our physical campuses, but I like to say that our campuses are wherever you are in the world, because every time you log on, you can do things like that. Be part of the theatre, do a stand-up comedy class. And, we've also heard from Melbourne University Sport, you can do fitness classes. All of our counselling and support is there. So that was a really fantastic one. Thank you so much. It sounds like you got a pretty great experience. So we'll have to come and see you do some stand-up, or maybe we'll ask you to do some tonight. Now, Ray, I'd like to bring this question to you from the perspective that maybe from an academic perspective, that you would be speaking to lots of students and you would be seeing the different challenges or benefits that they've seen. What's some advice that you could give our audience for those students, whether they do choose subjects in Australia or back at home overseas? What can they do, I guess, to set themselves up for success for studies online?
Well, I think you've heard some of the examples have been great from some of the students that have mentioned that they've been able to schedule their learning in a way that suits them. And I think that's probably one of the important things to recognize, is that the flexibility is there for you. I mean, one thing we haven't all mentioned, but we've kind of hinted at, is everything's recorded. And in addition to that, we can lecturers set up consultation times, and there's many different ways to ask for help and talk to people. But that recording, that ability to have accessibility of most of the subject materials, what the students went up to is what speed they play the lecture back at. It may be 1 time, it could be 2 times. I talk a little fast, but also if somebody talks fast, you can play them back slowly, so you can actually hear what they said. But being able to schedule that, but for me, the part is being engaged, and engagement, as I loved what Aditya said, it is not just about the lectures. It is about the whole experience, and the fact that all of the student clubs and all of the engineering student clubs we work with in our first year engineering subject are all engaged in working online and have virtual events. It's had an amazing impact in working with industry as well, because for some reason, as soon as you remove that commuting time to interact with industry, they will show up for meetings. We see internships, we see mentorship programs, and it has actually been much, much easier to get industry to engage in every level of our programs. And so it's really, don't think of it as a university experience. Well, if I don't go to class, how am I going to engage? That there's a lot of different avenues, and getting involved early. I mean, going to a virtual social event, if you don't like it, well, you can always leave. But there are ways to engage with those, and in that mix of activities that are going on. I never thought 2 years ago that we would have what you'd think of as a vibrant virtual campus. But I really think through a lot of effort through the university, and to be honest, the amazing effort of our students, I think that's what we have.
Brilliant. I think you're getting a vote of support there from Massimo. I think that's fantastic. It really is about a new experience. So for us, we're looking at it in such a positive way. So Massimo, I'll go to you with your enthusiasm there for Ray's comments. And I'd love to know, can you share one of your online learning experiences that was particularly positive? What did your teacher, your tutors do that really managed to engage you and connect you into that class? What kinds of things can they expect?
Oh, well, the last semester I just did was dual delivery. I was going on campus and I had virtual classes that were solely virtual. But one of my tutors from the virtual tutorial, she actually gave us like, well, we had her personal emails, but she like went the extra effort to record her working through and like extra explanation. And then she said, because I've shared this with you, share it with everyone. Like, I know you guys have chats, give it to everyone. Like, this is like, it's not like giving us the answer, but it was like she put in extra effort to give us just some more support throughout the whole semester. And like, if it was traditional learning, if I was to go on campus, I wouldn't really make the effort to show up to like an office or a support room where usually the tutors hang out, because like sometimes it's full, sometimes they're not there, or they have other commitments, and sometimes I have other commitments. But just like the freedom of being able to communicate to each other either through email, which it's not really like, you're not really time constrained, the email's there, they'll get back to you whenever, but like it just feels a lot more open to be able to communicate with your tutors. So I think that's what's great.
Brilliant. And Rasheen, we have a question from Zian out in the audience, and Zian has asked, what tips do you give to set up your work or study station for virtual learning? So what did you learn in setting up your space?
That's a really, really good question. And I think I can help you with 2 years of experience in the bag. I think it's really, really important to, for me in particular, I know it can be quite convenient to watch your lectures from your bed, the comfort of your bed rather, but I think it's really, really important to separate your work environment from sort of your chill environment. And I think that divide really does help you when it comes to balancing. What I like to do is I also try to change it up every now and then. So sometimes I'm in this little study nook. Sometimes if like restrictions permitting, I go into a library and I'll do work. I'm also someone who likes, if I'm to like read through things, I like doing it in the park, just in the fresh air. So just really cater to what you think your strengths and weaknesses are and play around. But my biggest advice is not to become complacent and skip your classes, or say you'll watch it later. Create a space wherever that may be for you, and essentially have it as an effective working station. And remember, if you get sick of it, just change it up a little bit. Even like putting things on there, removing things can like make it a little different and sort of give you a little bit of change. Yeah.
Brilliant. You clearly have done this for the last 2 years. Did anyone else approach it in a different way, setting up your space? Was there anything, a different take that anyone had, or is this the gold standard that we have right here? Indira, what did you do?
Mine was close to Rasheen's gold standard. My 2 cents would be, yeah, I definitely agree with the changing it up. For instance, when my house is empty, I love standing in the kitchen counter, my version of a standing table. Yeah, so definitely change it up. I listen to my lectures sometimes when going out on a walk. You can download lectures in our Eco 360 app. Yeah, so definitely experiment in the first few weeks and see what works for you and do it your own learning stuff.
Brilliant. Well, excellent tips there. We're going to head back to Ray. We've got another question coming through from our audience, and they're a little bit worried that they will be missing out when I'm studying online and there are students in the classroom. So how does this manage? So I think we might have a bit of confusion about how it works when a subject's delivered online or on campus. Will they be getting the same thing?
So I think they're different experiences, and we cater for both of them. But how you learn it could be different. And it depends on how the subject's delivered. If it's some subjects, they deliver an online stream and an in-person stream. And so those are going to be different experiences, but they're catered for where you are. The online one is going to probably be possibly more interactive than the in-person one sometimes, to ensure you stay engaged. We've had a lot of practice. If it is blended, if we have both online students and students in the, say, lecture theater or at the same time, we've gotten really good at actually using the materials and the technology in the rooms now to actually make sure that everybody hears the questions, that you're being able to see the body language, and lecturers are conscious of staying in the camera view and making sure that you can see that, well, I talk with my hands, that you'd be able to get kind of the experience of the lecturer as well. And being able to work at pace and things like chats and surveys, really try to keep that interactive. So it's not missing out as you're having a different experience, but we work really hard to make sure both are engaging for the students. And I could say this, most lecturers are love to interact with students, and we will find many, many different ways and a lot more time to do it if, as we found, people are online, we'll set up extra chat sessions and Slack channels and Teams chats and extra Zoom chats and open office hours, just a lot of different ways to ensure however students want to engage, that we're there for them.
Brilliant. And I think you make that good point, that it is customized to the experience that you're happening. But importantly, you still are covering that same content and the learning that you need for your course. So I think that might be part of the anxiety, is feeling like one may be better than the other, but you are still going to be learning the same material with the same outcomes. Is that right, Ray? Yeah,
I mean, for engineers, math and physics don't change, however we're teaching them. Gravity still works the same everywhere. And so yeah, we aim to cover the same topics. And what online learning and blended learning has really made us ask, what's the important things we really need to focus on in that experience? And how can we teach that in a better way that's more compact, easier to take up? We've done an awful lot already in what are called flipped lectures, where we might not even lecture the whole time. We would have pre-recorded lecture material and then have discussion and examples. And so that was actually meant to work for in-person learning, but we've actually developed it and it's way more effective in online learning. And so, the goal is to cover the same material to the same level, and we're expecting our students to be at the same standard when they finish. Brilliant.
We do have a bit of a question here too about students who are really keen to come back semester one on campus with their subjects. What is that looking like? And has there been any of what we've learnt with, you sort of did touch upon that, with the online learning that's been brought into face-to-face on-campus learning?
Well,
we've got some keen people for on-campus at the moment for semester one.
I have a comment now. I'd advise, look at the faces of the students as I talk about this. So when we talk about on-campus learning, we might talk about how fantastic and fun it would be to have a lecture on campus, and how I desperately want to talk to the students in person. But the thing that is very important to us as we move back to online learning are the tutorials, the workshops, the hands-on learning, the work in additional lectures where if students are in smaller groups are able to make stronger peer connections with the people they're working on. And so as we move back to online learning, that's a huge priority for us. And we're also finding that we're even adapting our in-person lectures to start to look more like, going to make up a word and call it a lectorial, a combination of a lecture and a tutorial. And so as we come back to online learning, it's in itself, on-campus learning, it's its own new experience as well that's evolving.
Excellent. Yeah, so everything is quite different. And so there will be classes for students to attend on campus. And as we've been mentioning, we're doing everything that we can to make sure that you are safe and we minimize any risks to you. There'll be lots of information about our COVID safe campus during orientation, and we'll make sure you know how to be prepared for that, but you will have those opportunities for your on-campus learning. Summer semester is underway right now. Some subjects are online, some are on campus. So it's all happening at the moment. We are already running out of time. So I'm going to give you all one final question, a different one each, so that we can cover a few more of the things that I think might help students as they get ready. And Aditya, I'm going to go to you now. And I guess, what advice would you give to students that still might be able to get that plane ticket and they're not sure, that might still be a bit hesitant about online learning, or if they're not able to come and they're thinking of deferring to semester 2, what advice would you give them about feeling like, what can help them overcome their hesitation as someone that's been there doing very practical classes?
Honestly, like so far what I've found is that the university has done everything they can to make the online experience as engaging as possible. So like, even if you're unable to come, I find that like, you know, there's always going to be things that you can do online. And like, especially now, since like, you know, there's people that are going on campus and people that are like online, the university is looking both ways to see what can be the most engaging method for, you know, both students. So sometimes I remember like, even I attended some classes where like some students were online. So what the tutors did is they got us to somehow engage with each other, the students that were in person with the students that were online. So I think like, if you really want the on-campus experience, maybe you can wait. But like, if you know, just want the entire experience of the university, definitely I would recommend, you know, giving online a shot, because it's not as bad as you think. You know, you can always relax at home, have a little bit of fun. You don't have to wake up at time. So
And,
yeah,
and
it's
you don't
not
have
bad.
to put off. You don't have to put off your studies, and you've clearly made the most of all the opportunities. So, thank you for that. I thought you were well placed for that one. Indira, I would love to know, what are you most excited about for when you get back on campus? So you'll be off doing medicine. What are you excited about?
Oh, since I'm starting a new course now, yeah, I'm so excited to meet the diverse people. We already have a group chat going on, buzzing every day, but there's like so many diverse students. So to meet new people and also bump into them accidentally on campus and become closer friends, oh, that's the most exciting part.
Brilliant. No, that's a really great one. Rasheen, I actually want to ask the same question of you. What are you most excited about getting back on campus for?
For me, I think it's definitely just being able to walk around on campus and seeing everyone, but in particular South Lawn. I feel like South Lawn is my happy place on campus, which it's essentially this massive like green lawn area where pre-COVID you'd have all these incredible spaces to grab lunch, play games, play frisbee. And the great thing about South Lawn is there's always something happening, be it like a barbecue or like a little event or like an activity. So that's what I'm really looking forward to, as well as just being able to walk around on campus, because it is incredibly beautiful there. And you have architecture which is a true combination of both modern as well as the older buildings. So yeah, I'm just very excited to go back in person and just immerse myself in campus. Yeah.
Brilliant. Some really good tips there. And for those of you that might be waiting a little bit longer, you can take longer to start planning all the things that you're going to do. I'm going to go to Ray, and then the last question will be for Massimo. Ray, something that I think a lot of our students that may be starting online think about is they may be studying in different time zones. What kinds of things have you as an academic done to make sure that they feel supported and that kind of thing, in terms of consultation and getting help and that kind of thing? So
quite a few things. You know, we know people are in every time zone, and it could be everything from we move assessment times, we make sure everything is recorded. A lot of lecturers are quite flexible at the times when they do consultation. You know, remember, a lot of the university is engaged globally in both research and teaching. So we're used to working with people around the world. And in the last 2 or 3 years, that's been having meetings at all different times. And so we're quite comfortable saying, hey, when do we need to connect so that you can get the help you need? And most of the time we try to remind students, let us know if there's a time zone. Sometimes we'll look, and if we know where you are, we'll contact you ahead of time, but always just let your lecturer or demonstrator know. And if there's a time zone issue, we'll find ways and solutions to work it out.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that. And now, Massimo, I would love to know what is just overall your biggest piece of advice to new students about to start at the University of Melbourne. Anything, it can be about anything, whether academic or getting involved or anything.
I think this is like people will always say this, but when you start anywhere new, just don't be afraid. Just everyone around you that's going to be in the same year as you are in the same boat. I found that maybe when I was in my second year already, but there's no one that knows the right thing to do. There's no one that's like going to be way smarter than you. They're all really starting off the same. So just get comfortable around each other, because a lot of the people that you see in your year, you're going to be with them for the next year and the next. And, you know, just try to make a lot of friends. But everyone is like, if you think you're alone, you're really not. Everyone's there. Everyone is really looking for someone to talk to. And it's really just that first person that needs to step up and say hello. It really makes a big difference.
So be that first person, everyone out there. That was wonderful advice, Massimo. I think that's a lovely place to end it. I would like to say a huge thank you to this incredible panel today. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Rasheen, Massimo, Indira, and Aditya. I think that everyone really valued your tips. And again, here's some more people and faces for you to meet online or on campus soon. So say hello to them. They're very friendly, and we're all part of the same Melbourne community. So this was a whirlwind start to the university from us, and there's much more to come. And so, like I said, up next is your Melbourne commencement ceremony, followed by that is O Week, and we are making these all possible no matter where you are. And that will be your choice. Congratulations again. Welcome to our community, Wominjeka, and make sure, I think the biggest thing to come from this is ask questions, ask for help. We want to help you. We want you to succeed. We want you to be part of the incredible Melbourne legacy. So until we see you soon, take care, get excited, and we can't wait to have you here. I'm going to